Oh, your rings real?
No.
Oh. So it was scripted. You knew you was getting them.
Of course, all day, every day.
So y'all knew you was getting them that year.
Did.
Yeah.
It was a script.
True story. I never told the story. In the first round, my first championship. In the first round, I forget who we're playing. I hear Phil Jackson tell Gary Vitti, hey, get us some hotels in Indiana, because that's where we're going to play in the finals. This was like before game one in the finals, and like it didn't hit me until we got to Indiana.
Or maybe he just knew that they were the best team in the East.
I don't know. I'm just telling you what I heard the man say.
So he's talking to Funny Marco, and if anybody doesn't know Funny Marco's comedy, it's this dry. It's supposed to be an ambiguous joke where he don't really explain. If anybody don't know, Shaq is kind of trolling right there. However, what did they say? Behind every joke, there's some truth. And you know, we've seen this over the years, right? And so let's see what these guys have to say. This is Andre Iguodala, obviously played for the Warriors, played for the Sixers, MVP of like the 2016 finals or something like that against Cleveland. Evan Turner also played at Philadelphia, played on Portland, scorer in the NBA. Let's see what they have to say.
Playing that for that week, like that was.
Yeah, we tried. I mean, the refs
like, now they know this. Like,
refs tried to get
Joe
Cleveland
Bertolina's.
that game. You saw that?
Yes.
I watch everything.
Yes.
Damn. Oh yeah, we
They was trying to
allegedly. Hey. We had Klay Thompson foul trouble. Yeah, y'all got the too quick with. Get him out. Yeah.
You know we're gonna have to win by 15 just to win by 1. So I'm like, what you mean? He's like, bro, this is an NBA. It's entertainment. Like. LeBron is and the Heat are waiting. Would you rather watch the Celtics or the Sixers play the Heat? I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm on the team. I wouldn't even watch the Sixers play the Heat type shit. Like,
You got to appreciate it.
but mind you, I'm young, 22, 23. I'm like, damn. You know what I mean? So it's like, so we get in this game. You know how much money the NBA is gonna lose? Like this, type shit. I'm like, I guess, like a decent amount. It's like, would you watch that game next week if it was a Heat versus the Sixers? I'm like, nah. It's like, okay then. So like, that's why I'm telling you, take M's and M's from
M's
this.
and
Like, what?
M's.
You say millions of memories.
Oof.
Because this is entertainment.
Damn, that's a bar.
Let's say. So those players give you a little bit of insight on the fact that, and he even said this on that podcast, the NBA is aware of the storylines. The NBA is aware of all of the things going on. They're not naive to it. Basketball, at the end of the day, is still entertainment. And here I have a little quote from Russ, the musician Russ, the artist Russ, talks about faking streams, right? And I think that this draws a similar parallel to sort of what they're talking about.
Say your song has 500 million streams, right? Organically. But let's say with fake streams, now you're at 900 million. No one's gonna sit there and be like, this is more like a 500 million stream song.
Yeah.
They're just gonna be like, this is a big song, makes sense it has 900 million.
That's honestly so smart.
Yeah, they're not doing it to the dude across the street.
And in that clip, he's talking about faking streams and how in music, when something like that happens, it's not with a random artist that someone would be suspicious on how they even got there. Shaq and the Lakers were a great team and they had the best players. It's funny because if the NBA were to rig that finals, you would think that it would have been the Lakers against the Knicks because the amount of money that would have generated, the eyes it would have put on the two biggest cities in the NBA, the Los Angeles and New York. But obviously they went to Indiana instead, and although they had a great player in Reggie Miller, we're talking about Indiana. So, is the NBA rigged? I can tell you they have ways to rig it. And it starts with those guys that we complain about every night in black and white stripes. There's those motherfucking zebras on the floor. You know, they could draw quick whistles. Or swallow their whistle and not call fouls. And it's very subtle, right? It's very subtle. It's not every single game, even though I think a lot of people would like to think that it's every single game. But you can also tell over the years, if you've been watching basketball for a really long time, the years when it didn't go the way they thought it would go. The Toronto Raptors championship is the one that comes to mind. Everything was set up for the Warriors to win that. And they ended up flipping that story around, and it's still a great story, but the NBA was definitely not expecting the Toronto Raptors to win that, and it really came down to a bunch of injuries for the Warriors. You know, throughout history, when you see, you know, I've talked about it in a video, how in each decade there's only a couple of teams that actually win the championship. And yes, they have the best teams and the best players, but it's in the NBA's best interest at the same time. You start creating these legacies and you start creating these historical moments, and these, you know, you start hitting milestones, right? Multiple MVP awards, multiple championships, 2-peats, 3-peats. Do they rig it completely? No, but I think that they wouldn't mind nudging something in that direction. The Detroit Pistons definitely played spoiler in 2004. I could tell you that much for sure. It's just, it's happened throughout the years. Now, it's just funny because everyone's joked about it. Everyone says something about it. And then I think some people forget that... Where's this photo? I think some people forget that this guy was actually in the NBA. Tim Donaghy was in the NBA and was guilty of these things, right? It just is what it is. You kind of have to know what you're looking at sometimes, and it's just... I've had to explain this to my dad at times where... Yeah, there's stars and there's a pecking order in the NBA, right? And that star power has a huge influence on it. Think about it when people put money into colleges. Their kids have an access, you know, people talk about it all the time. Their kids get in easily, get good grades or whatever. You know, now they have access to opportunities. Similar idea, right? These big markets are bringing in more money for the league. Of course, the NBA should try to push some things that way. Because even if the Charlotte Hornets were to win the championship, they're still in Charlotte. these are just some of the realities of sports and of entertainment. It can happen, but it's very unlikely. But it's just interesting seeing that on the timeline. Everybody was going crazy about it. Obviously Shaq was trolling. But like I said, behind every especially great joke, there is some truth to it. And we've seen some of this in the past. And with how prevalent sports betting is, it would be hard for me to believe that there isn't something going on behind the scenes that we're not privy to.